Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Soul SIS Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Laurence Elrod, who's going to be sharing with you his journey and his story. And I can't wait to hear it. He was our guest speaker for the Domestic Violence Awareness Fashion Show, but I was too busy behind the scenes that I wasn't able to hear your story. And I'm like, I can't wait till I get the videos of it. So today, I'm looking forward to hearing the full story of everything that you went through and have overcome in hopes that it'll help other people. This month, in honor of Men's Domestic Awareness Month, and we do have Dee. She's not able to join us in person, so we're excited to have her here. She's going to be streaming live from home. So Miss Dee, welcome, welcome. So today we have Carlotta as well, our other hostess with the mostest. And so we are excited to get started. And let's start with you, Mr. Laurence. Laurence is also the CEO and founder of Elrod TV Network. So we are excited to have you. Welcome.
I am very excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So tell us what you do now. What you are up to? Tell us a little bit about your business and your networking company.
Sure. I have elrodtvnetwork.com. It is a TV streaming channel. And what I do is I give life to independent filmmakers and give them a voice on my platform.
I love it. So it's something where independent filmmakers, if they can't find anywhere to stream, they can come and talk to you and then grow their audience that way.
Yes,
right?
that's
awesome.
True.
That's a pretty cool concept. Because there's a lot of people out there with great talent. There's a lot of stories out there that need to be heard, but because of the loopholes and the red tapes, as we all know, they're not able to get their stories across, right? So, all right, awesome. So tell us a little bit about how you got started with that.
It actually started back a little bit before the pandemic.
Okay.
So I actually auditioned for a talk show that was going to be on Can TV here in Chicago. It didn't go through, but I had a taste that I wanted to do something, but I wanted to do something that was entertaining, and also you learn something without even knowing it.
Okay.
So I had a few people that said, hey, why don't you go ahead and start your own talk show? So I started off with Chase Your Dreams, which was on Can TV and on my YouTube channel. That eventually turned into Thirsty Conversations. And then from there, I started my own TV streaming channel. And I started also a podcast, which is Thirsty Topics. So on my streaming channel, I have both of those shows on there, as well as a arts and crafts show. And then I also have a few more podcasts. Now I have a movie and a documentary on there.
Very nice. And where can people go on there to find you?
It's very easy. elrodtvnetwork.com.
Okay, awesome. So Laurence and I actually met through one of my clients, Miss Wander, and we had a meeting just about maybe, a month or two ago? So we had a meeting about a month or two ago, and upstairs at the beautiful nutrition bar. And I mentioned the domestic violence fashion show to him, and as you were getting ready to leave, right? No idea. So you never know who you're in front of, and you never know what they have gone through. You don't know anyone's story until you actually start to talk to them, right? I never knew. And as Laurence was walking out, I handed him a flyer for our annual domestic violence awareness fashion show. And Laurence, that stopped you in your tracks. And you immediately, if I remember correctly, walked back inside and sat down, and you shared with me that you too were a domestic violence victim. And you shared some things that were very personal and very intimate. And I asked if you wouldn't mind being a guest speaker at our domestic violence fashion show. However, I wasn't able to hear your story, so I would love to have you share with us what you shared during the Domestic Violence Awareness Fashion Show.
Sure. Basically, my story starts off with being born and raised in Chicago. I lived on the west side of Chicago. And starting off, it was a pretty good lifestyle, no big deal. But around 5 years old or so, my mother married my stepfather. And that's when things took a dramatic, dark turn. So from there, I saw the abuse to my mom.
Wow.
Then I was both sexually, physically, and verbally abused by this person.
And it's a surprise that your mother didn't know any of this.
She didn't know that I was sexually abused until I became an adult.
Right. You held this in for all of these years.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reason that I held it in is because I remember one time he beat me so bad that I couldn't breathe. And I thought I was going to die. So I did tell my mom this, and she didn't believe me. So I figured, well, if you didn't believe that, you're not going to believe me being sexually abused. So I held it in for a very, very long time until I was probably well into my 20s.
That's just really crazy.
Yeah. I'm sorry, just taken back.
Yeah.
So when you had this conversation with her, how did you like anticipate, or how do you introduce this conversation to her, especially when it's family?
I finally decided to tell her one day because she needed to know. And of course, she asked me why I never told her, and I told her the same thing I told you. So, in that journey, I found out that this person actually molested multiple people on both sides of the family. There was a lot of things started coming out. Yeah.
Wow. And that must have been really tough for you to hold all of that heavy in your heart for all of those years. And the pain inside of not having that escape to even share with anybody. What was that like for you growing up?
It was pretty lonely.
Yeah.
As a result, I didn't enjoy high school. I pretty much was there and just kind of went through the motions. As an example, in my junior or senior year, my math teacher, Miss Fox, one of my favorite teachers, she offered me a full 4-year college scholarship to a college, Jackson State. And I turned it down because I was dealing with so much at home that I didn't realize what an opportunity it was. Now, granted, when I was in high school, the sexual abuse stopped, but the physical and verbal abuse never stopped. So my mom, to this day, doesn't even know that. She'll probably know that after this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what were some of the things that he did physically, and why? What triggers that?
Well, looking back now as a grown man, this was a weak person. It's just as simple as that. I mean, as a man, I've had my times where I go through stuff, where I go through financial. It's just a part of life. But there's no reason to ever physically abuse someone, sexually abuse them, or verbally abuse them. There's zero reason for that. And for a long time, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but for a long time, I was kind of felt guilty because it's like, why couldn't I stop this?
Yeah.
And I had to realize I was a child when this happened. So as a child, you can't stop this.
Right.
You need help. Obviously, things are much different now because people are aware of this and they're watching out for this now. So not to say it can't happen, but it's way more difficult now because people are watching.
Yeah.
And I remember a time when I was in high school and my stepfather came in, again, screaming, cursing, yelling. And then he He hit my mother. He hit my mother with the phone. He ripped it off the wall, hit her with the phone, and something inside me said that was enough. So I grabbed the pop bottle off the table. And for young people, back in the day, we used to have bottles. And you clean out the bottles and you turn it back in for some money. So, so I grabbed the bottle and I was going to bust it on the side table. I was going to stab this man to death. I didn't care.
Wow.
And something held me back. My mom in tears saying, don't do it, don't do it. And for the first time, this monster, and I don't use that word lightly, he stopped in his tracks. Because that was the first time I stood up to him. And something changed. And he still abused my mom, but I noticed that he wouldn't do it in front of us anymore. And I noticed that even though he's still an asshole to me and everything, something changed. And I just got to the point where I was like, and looking back, now I realize that God stopped me. Because I know that once I started, there was no stopping. So, that was, I think, a growth point where everyone has a limit. Some people, unfortunately, self-destruct. I was going to survive. That was just survival.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What is something that you want to share with someone that may have a child that could potentially be going through that? Like, what are the signs as a mother, right? If I'm now dating again, what are some of the signs if I am starting to date somebody to look for if they are doing anything to my children?
Well, I would say the biggest thing is, as a parent, your child. If you start dating someone and your child all of a sudden changes, where they're quiet, they're a little bit more standoffish. Now, most people probably won't see it, but people that know them will see it. Pay attention to that. And the most important thing, and I can't stress this enough, if they come to you and say someone does something to them, listen to them.
Right.
Now, I get it. Every blue moon, you may have a situation where it's false, but at least give them the respect to look into it. Don't just brush it off. Because if something's going on and they brush it off, they will not share anything else with you. And I'm living proof of that.
Wow. And it took until you became how old?
I was in my 20s.
Before you actually said something.
Correct.
What was your mom's reaction? She wasn't with him anymore at that time.
No, she wasn't. Okay. She was stunned. She was shocked. I think when I told her either she was about to leave him or he just left.
Do you think maybe she had somewhat of an inkling or somewhat knew but just was in denial? A lot of times women that are abused or they're in an abusive relationship, they're in denial, right? That their abuser couldn't possibly harm someone else or harm their children. You think maybe she knew some of what was going on, maybe?
Honestly, it's really hard for me to say yes or no to that. I do know that she was a victim for a long time. And one thing about domestic abuse or any kind of abuse, it's also mental.
Absolutely.
Because the physical harm heals, but the mental side sometimes never heals.
Exactly.
So when a person has been beat down mentally, everything else is secondary after that point.
Absolutely. Well, let's fast forward because today's topic is about men and mental health, right? Men's mental health. The things that you carried from your childhood, how, in what ways did that carry into like your adulthood as a man?
I would say some of the things is obviously when I had my son, I was a lot more very protective of him. I was kind of hypersensitive around him because of what I went through. So I paid attention. If I felt uncomfortable around people that was around him or even their parents, he wouldn't go around them.
Yeah.
And, when my son got a little older, I actually told him what happened to me for a number of reasons. One, because there would be a time where you may hear that, hey, you have a father out there, you have a possible grandfather. Why haven't you to go see him? I wanted you to know, one, you will never be around this man, and this is why. And it also, I want to explain to him why, yes, I am very, very overprotective, but here's why as well, too. And it's a lifelong learning thing as you do it, because you don't want to You don't want him to suffer because you're just too overbearing, but you can't let that go, what happened to you.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So I have a question. You said your stepfather, however, did you have a rapport with your actual biological father?
I don't. I'm actually trying to find my side of the family right now.
Oh, wow.
So I've been doing that for a while. Unfortunately, the member of my family that know more than they're telling me, but won't tell me anything. So I have to do this journey by myself. So, but yeah, he's out there.
So you had your dad, and by chance you might have heard this, or the family did it. What's something that you can share and say? Just mental health, we're talking about domestic violence survivors, but the message you want to share with them.
I would say the message is to learn how to support each other.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people hold back secrets for a number of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you think it's to protect the child.
Mm-hmm.
In my case, I'm no longer a child.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's to protect maybe something that's happened with them.
Mm-hmm.
But, as someone over 50 in their 50s, there's absolutely nothing to tell me that's going to make me go, or whatever. You just want to know the truth. Just want to know what's going on.
So apart from affecting like your high school journey, do you think it affected your relationships or your marriage?
I would say that, before I met my wife, I only had one serious relationship. That was back in high school. After that, I really didn't have any real relationships. And, there were times where, I was alone. I was probably crying and, lonely.
Yeah.
Right. And I can tell you now, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, I never would open up about that. But,
really?
But I was lonely. Because, I met people, I dated and stuff like that. But, I never found the right person.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did, it was a blessing. It was definitely a blessing. And she has been with me through this journey because one thing about physical and sexual abuse, when you get through it, in your mind, you block it because that's survival.
Yeah.
But what happens is that at some point it resurfaces. So out with my wife, after a certain period of time, I started having these nightmares where I would wake up screaming her name, Tracy, help me, Tracy, help me. Just it was really bad. And I just got to the point, I had to forgive this person. And it was not easy.
Right.
Because I got to a point in a real dark space that I wanted to do something really bad. And when I say do something really bad, not to me. And I knew that, okay, I had to do something because this is taking over. So I forgave this person. Now, it doesn't mean that I have anything to do with them or go around them. But what it did is it freed me and it released all the weight off my shoulders so that this person wouldn't have control over me and what I do moving forward.
Did they acknowledge, that had occurred, or it was just dismissive about it when you confronted?
Honestly, I didn't really confront them.
Okay.
This is the type of person where it was best for me to stay away from them. Because I was a different person as a man than as a child, if he were to say or do something, that reaction would be different. So the best way to deal with that, and I've always said this, the best way to deal with a problem is to avoid it altogether.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I provide some input? You said a lot of time. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Dee.
Okay. Laurence, how
Yes.
was it for you unpacking? Because I heard you speak and you spoke to, confiding with your son, finding that support and confiding to your wife about it as well as your mom. How did you lean into confiding into the people about your experience? And did you have any help in releasing that information? Or was this something you just built the tenacity to share with others that you trusted, of course? Hello? I can hear.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. One of the biggest issues with my family, and I'm talking extended family, is burying stuff. and not talking about stuff. And I wanted to break that. So I wanted to tell as many people for a number of reasons. One, because people need to know what happened so they can prevent it from happening to someone that they love and they care about. The other thing that it did, which I did not expect, is to find out that this person sexually abused people on both sides of the family.
Right.
That surprised me.
So how was that unpacking? Did you carry some like load because of you learned about other people experience the same thing you experienced? Rather it was before or after?
Well, I felt it was important to talk about it. I never to this day identified who those people are because I truly believe it's their story to tell, not mine. So eventually, people were starting to feel free, starting to get rid of these generational curses.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel that those experiences shaped you as you were growing up, like emotionally or mentally?
I would say what it did is it helped me be the person I am. Mm-hmm. So instead of looking at these horrible things that happened to me as, detrimental, I look at it as I survived it and I moved forward and I'm still standing. Mm-hmm. And, we always talk about never judge a man or a woman until you walked in their footsteps. And I'm living proof how true that is.
Yeah.
You don't know what a person's been through when you're talking to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you're turning your pain into purpose.
Yes, I am.
Love it. And you're working on a book, correct?
Yes, I am. I have a new book that's coming out. It's scheduled to be out probably the end of the year, early of next year.
Amazing. Awesome. What is the name of the book? Have you had a name and everything yet?
I do have a name for the book.
Okay.
I want to say, like I said, there's a lot going on. So if I butcher the name, I apologize. But basically, it's from silence to broadcast, the Laurence Elrod story.
Yes, to broadcast. You're broadcasting. So now with your TV network, you're allowing other voices to broadcast.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So what would you say to another man who could be also suffering in silence, someone that maybe have also endured the childhood trauma, but haven't actually released themselves and shared their experiences?
There's a couple of options. I would say find someone that you're really close to, a really close family or friend, and talk to them about it. In some cases, you may need to talk to a therapist. And guess what? I've been to a therapist in my life. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing to feel shame about that. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. You're human.
Right. Absolutely. And so why do you think so many men struggle though with like sharing their trauma, right? And sharing the things that they do go through?
Sure. I know some women are probably not going to want to hear this, but one of the things for most men, me included, is you don't want to look weak. You don't want to look helpless. So you feel that if you start opening up a little bit too much, they may not look at you as a man anymore. And I know that's crazy, but most men do feel that way. And for a long time, I felt that way until I realized that, no, that's not true.
Yeah. And so with that being said, how can we create these safe spaces for men to be able to express themselves and become vulnerable without feeling judged? And what are some of the ways that we as women as well, can help men be able to express themselves?
I would say when you're talking to a man,
Okay, here we go. Okay, say that again.
Sure. I would say be mindful of what you say to a man. Some things that you feel are very subtle, no big deal. And I'll give you some quick examples. Man up. Don't be sensitive. You know, oh, why are you taking that so seriously? What happens is, as a man, we'll shut down and we'll never open up to you again.
Really? Okay. So those are the things that you shouldn't say, like, to a man, right? What are some of the things, let's spin that. What are some of the things we should say? What are some of the things we should do?
Well, when you're talking and you see something's going on, and here's the trick. When a man's going through something and you ask him how you're doing, our general answer is, I'm good. What you do is say, okay, everything all right with you? Start asking a little bit more probing questions. What happens is you'll start seeing the onions pull off. And if you know him well enough, you can tell there's something else going on. Don't just take the simple, I'm good. Because unfortunately, sometimes we're not good.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. How do you feel like you speaking your truth has helped you, has helped shape you coming out?
It's helped me because it's released me from having all this baggage on my back and being able to move forward and be my true self.
Absolutely.
It affected me where I'm not afraid to try new things. You know, I've been in sales for so long, so I'm not afraid to do something. And it's okay to fail. You get up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. And it also allows you to look at different avenues that you never thought about before.
As well as helping others, right? I remember you mentioned that several people had came up to you and said, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. Yeah.
Yes. When we were at the event, I had multiple people walk up and thank me for sharing it. Some people gave me hugs. Some people were like, Laurence, I hope you continue to tell your story. And one person I told, yeah, I'm working on a book. He said, oh my God, I hope you go through, do the book. Yeah. We would definitely buy it. And I was really pleasantly surprised at the response. I was amazed at how many people really related. And I even had some people that shared their stories with me, some that were pretty horrific.
Absolutely. So, hi, Raymond. How are you? Raymond was our guest last week, and he shared some great nuggets as well. Make sure you go watch that show. Raymond says, men are always doing, and too often we don't allow ourselves to feel. That is, I could.
You know, and it's crazy. You said that earlier. He's like, stop being, getting in your emotions. And it's not even what you say as a woman. Sometimes it's what you do. It's like, they get into their feelings. You be like, it's not even natural. It's not common. So you just kind of, you do dismiss it so you can, sometimes deter the person from. So that's good information. Absolutely. Can I ask the question, if you had the ability to either write a letter to yourself or express something to your younger self, what would you say?
I would say that you're going to get through this. You're way stronger than you think, and don't let anyone deter you away from your dreams.
Thank you.
Did you ever feel anger or resentment towards the people that couldn't protect you as a young kid?
Amazingly, no. And the reason being is that my anger and my rage was only pointed at one person. I couldn't blame my mom because she was a victim as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of people around us didn't know what was going on. At some point, people started to know and understand. I remember there was one incident at home. I was out with my friends. And then as I was coming close to the house, I noticed there was a big group of people outside the windows. And I heard my stepfather jumping and beating up on my mom.
Oh my goodness.
So someone eventually called the police. But, again, to walk up and see this, it was very horrific.
Yeah, and a lot of women too, they suffer in silence.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, she was a victim herself.
Yes.
So she couldn't comprehend or explain like what was going through, or even, acknowledge what was going through.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions? Dee, did you have any questions?
Yes. So, Laurence, thank you for sharing. I really appreciate you being open and telling us every detail of your healing process. I know it's an ongoing process, but my question for you is, how does the future look for you in advocating for yourself and other young boys and men that might be still struggling and getting past this? I'm just curious because, like you said, they might need a man to look up to for that example, and they see your bravery, and they might gain some courage or even some trust.
I would say there's a number of things. One of my biggest motivations for doing my book is to help people, because for a long time I felt that no one knew what I was going through. I was the only person. Mm-hmm. And by opening up and telling people my story, sadly enough, it was way more common than most people think.
Yes.
And what I hope my story does is let people know that no matter how bad or how horrible it is, you can get through it. So that's why I'm doing the book. There's something coming up after the book that I can't say publicly, but something really good after that as well. And then also there's certain things I want to do in the future to kind of help people as well.
Awesome. And so that brings me to, how has your TV network, Elrod TV network, become part of your healing journey?
It allows my creativity to come out and give a voice to me, to other people, and also to be able to put out some positivity. Most of the time with reality TV, most of it is fights, arguments, and crazy stuff like that, which is fine. I mean, people like that.
So Raymond said we can ask questions of how are you feeling opposed to how are you doing?
You know what? I am doing great. I'm feeling great. I still have, life issues just like everyone else. But overall, I look at it as if I can get through that, I can get through anything.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think he's mentioning it based on the wife, like to ask, questions. Yeah, like how are you feeling opposed to how are you doing? That's great advice. Mm-hmm. Like, how are you feeling? How do you feel about that?
Some of those probing questions.
Right. It's part of the probing questions. Yep. And then
allow the person
too often we don't allow. Yep. That's true. What'd you say, Dee?
I said allow the individual to process the conversation and, speak and show up and be themselves authentically, because they feel like they can have a conversation with that person because they're like, oh, they're not just for the quick answer. This probing, it helps. So that's very helpful. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. So what's next for you
today,
now?
Laurence.
Yes, the book, right?
Yes.
No, you. I think me and you are the same. Go ahead, Pam.
Go ahead, Dee.
Yes, you got the floor.
So, Laurence, I know we just met this past summer, and when I met you and your wife Tracy, yeah, it was great. And
thank
you again, because this might be hard for many people to, speak about. And we're talking about different walls, whether you're male or female, but even more so being, I have 2 boys, so I could never imagine. So I sympathize with you in terms of sharing it with your son and your walk. That's power and bravery. But overall, how do you feel? How are you feeling, Laurence?
Overall, I feel great. I really do. Yeah. I know that at the event, that was the first time telling my story to a large group of people. And the crazy thing is, I prepared for it over and over and over again, and I still felt myself breaking down a little bit.
Absolutely.
And, I got through it. I felt I did a pretty good job, but, this is my story. I would love to say that this was all made up and everything, but unfortunately, no, it wasn't. It's my story.
Yeah, exactly. And, I'm sure each and every one of us have gone through some sort of trauma. Because we're scared that it's going to expose certain people and they're going to say stuff. But then that's kind of how I felt with, when I first wrote my book, was like, oh gosh, I sat on it for a few years, right? It's like, no one's going to want to hear this. Nobody's going to want to hear this. No, it's just a typical story, right? And so nothing's typical about each and every one of our story, right? No one but us have our story. No one but us have walked through the things that we have walked through and overcome the things that we've overcome. So no matter what, I say, write your story, share your truth, because that's your truth, right? Who cares about who it's affecting? Because they didn't think about that when they hurt you, or they didn't think about how it's going to impact you. So why should you care if you're now telling your truth in order for it to heal other people, right? So that's my take on that. So I'm glad, I'm proud of you. Like, I'm glad that you are actually going to be able to share all the things that you experience, because other people, like they say, our story is someone else's survival guide, right? And so, just us being vulnerable and sharing our story, it's going to allow other people to be healed. And I had some relatives, actually, because, when my husband had his cancer, I started sharing a lot of the backstory, the insides outs, right? And I actually had a relative that told my daughter, like, I unfollowed your mom because she shares too much or whatever, right? Hey, that's okay. Unfollow me if you don't want to see it. The ones that I'm talking to are the ones that inbox me. Thank you for sharing. I'm going through the same thing. The ones who are messaging, hey, you saved my life. I was going to kill myself. But because you shared XYZ story, I'm still alive, And so the reason that we go through the things that we go through, I feel like it's not to stay silent. Our story is not for us to keep. Our story is for us to be able to share and empower other people. Like, oh, if she can do it, I can too. She went through what I went through. She's just a typical person. So yeah. So that was my take on it.
And even to impact one life means a lot. So,
Absolutely. And I do want to touch on 2 points that you made. One, when I started telling my story, there were some people in my family that was not happy about that.
Of course.
But it's my story to tell.
Absolutely.
And the second thing is, when I first talked to you about the book, I said those exact same words. No one's going to want to hear my story. My story is too horrific. But you said something that touched my heart, is that you're still standing. And this will help other people that have been through what you've been through.
Yes.
And you can show them that you can get through it. That's really what pushed me to make the book.
Sharing the triumph after the trauma.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And what type of support do you feel made the biggest impact on you and your, overcoming all of that and now being able to speak and comfortably share and help others?
For me personally, having such a great wife.
Yes, I love your wife.
She's my best friend, my biggest cheerleader, and she's in my corner through thick and thin.
Absolutely.
She's been with me through the highs, through the lows. Doesn't matter if we have money in the bank or a negative bank account, she's there.
Shorty, what you think? No. I have to throw that in. Okay.
She's definitely one of the biggest reasons that I am the way I am today. And then also I have some family members, especially a couple in particular, that's really always had my back. And I can talk to them about anything. They're always there for me.
Yeah.
And you need a support system.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's friend.
Yeah.
There is no guide or no template on what that looks like, because it's going to vary from person to person.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. And sometimes strangers become your biggest advocate and supporters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Stranger that becomes family.
absolutely. Like us. Soul sisters.
Yes.
Strangers that become sisters.
My sister's on another mister,
Yes.
another mother.
What do you wish society understood about what survivor looks like? What do you wish society, knew about that or understood about that? Because there's so many myths what a survivor looks like, right?
I think that's a multi-dimensional type question. And the reason why I say that is, obviously, there needs to be conversation, open conversation. There's also things that you can do to mitigate this. And what I mean by that is, unfortunately, we've seen situations where people have a boyfriend that they're dating. The boyfriend either beats or kills their children. And then once you start digging into it, this person was violent when you met them.
Yeah.
And I get it. Everyone wants to love. Everyone wants to be loved. I get all that. But when you're a parent, you're constantly on notice of who's around your children. And if this person is violent when you met them, you're not going to change them. You cannot change a grown person. They have to change themselves. Yeah. I've seen many times, especially before I got married, where I'll see women, they'll try and date a guy who's a player. He has all these girlfriends. Well, I can change him. Or he's someone known to hit their girlfriend. Well, he's not going to do that to me. And you kind of want to just shake the hell out of him. Like, well, why? What makes you so bad? And we've all seen that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the myths that you think for men and mental health survivors. What are some of the myths that you think people have about like men survivors?
I would think there's a couple. One, they think that men don't have feelings. We do. Unfortunately, most men are very guarded on their emotions. They don't just open up to anyone. That's a fact.
Yeah.
The second thing is that, unfortunately, when it comes to sexual abuse, it happens way more often with men than people think.
Yeah.
And most men just don't either have the courage or feel safe enough to share that with people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think just abuse, period, right? And, especially men and abuse, right? They're shutting down or they don't want to share because of the vulnerability of how I'm supposed to be tough and all of that, right? Yeah. So, okay.
I don't know if you spoke about this, but I know you mentioned it earlier in this conversation in terms of you having only basically 2 real relationships throughout your life. So, of course, trust was definitely at play because of what you experienced. How was you able to push past that in terms of, I know you said you got to be mindful of who you open up to, but that was betrayal from somebody living in your home versus a random person in the streets. So, it's one thing to lack the trust, but that's like betrayal right there. So that speaks volumes to your relationships. But my question is, bringing it full circle, what would you recommend, or what would you suggest in terms of somebody that's going through like getting over betrayal, bitterness, and even having the boundaries in terms of the trust because of what they experience?
You need to talk to someone, because when you hold it in, it's like you're fighting this battle within yourself. And what it does, it pulls you away from things. You find yourself not really going to too many events. You don't really want to talk to too many people, and you become isolated, which is the worst thing that can happen. And sometimes you can confide in a friend. You can confide in a family member. And if you don't have those things, then confide in a therapist. There's nothing wrong with talking to a therapist because, you know, we tune up our car, you know, we go to a doctor for our physicals. There's nothing wrong with also making sure that mentally you're good as well, too.
Because forgiveness is not for them. Forgiveness is for you to get past that healing and to open up.
That's the important thing. I mean, the things that I went through, the horrific childhood, there were 3 things that got me through it. It was God, prayer, and forgiveness. And I mean that those 3 things is what got me through it.
Wow. So finding an outlet, finding what works for you, be able to get through it.
And also, too, you know, I know at one point I was in the dart league. Now I have my business. Find something that makes you happy. One of my biggest things is I love watching King of Queens. I probably watched every episode like 50 times. But, you know, after going through a stressful day or you're dealing with your normal daily stuff, I like to smile. I like to laugh.
Yeah.
That makes me feel good. So I like to laugh. I like to watch my Chicago Bears, who won today. And they're first in the division. But, you know, those are the type of things I like to do. Gotta let people know. You know, they're kind of mean to my Bears. So I gotta let them know.
Right, exactly.
But you gotta find an outlet. Yes. But yeah, you have to find an outlet.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, awesome. And then do you have any final words or advice that you might have for the men out there who may be suffering in silence?
Yes, I do. I would say find a safe place or a safe person that you can confide in. And again, if you don't have those things, then talk to a therapist. And also understand that therapists are people too. So if you get to a therapist and you don't like them, don't give up on the process. Just find another therapist. Again, whether it's church, friends, family, therapist, find someone that you can talk to and you can get this off your chest. Because the worst thing to happen is that you let this tear you apart. And, you know, you end up doing something to yourself or doing something to someone else. Even if that's the person that hurts you, you don't want to go down those roads.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And just remember that I'm living evidence that you can turn pain into purpose.
But it sounds like it takes a special someone like your wife. Sounds like she's a very important, intricate part of your healing process.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow. And I think it's important for us to, or not us, but like for men who are going through that, your environment and who you do share with, and having that partner, if you do have a wife or partner that is going to support you in that healing journey and walk with you as well.
Oh, that's very important. And you know, if you don't have that support from your spouse, and again, I don't wish bad on anyone's relationship. You need to take a hard look at that relationship.
Yeah, no, that's heavy because I guess for me being a survivor, I mean, it's not women's, but I should say, you know, I think when I experienced trying to vocalize, I didn't even go deep into anything because I had to actually see the person, you know, who did things to me when I was an adult. I didn't see them eye to eye. It was just like they were in the hospital, they were passing away. And they were like, oh, you should go up there. And, you know, and I was like, you know, between my parent and my significant other, they were like, you know, go up there, tell them how you feel. You know, like, why would I express to somebody something? They violated me as a child. They know what happened. I got into a room where you were trying to conversate about it. And it was just like, you know, as I say, sweep it under the altar. Because in church, it's like they're telling you to forgive. That's why I think therapy is probably a different avenue, you know, that I've considered for myself. But that whole, you know, what did you do?
Yeah.
Question, it's almost like you think as a child, I mean, as a young girl, maybe, I don't know, teenager, I don't know. I can't speak for those things because I've experienced it as a child and I had a bad experience as a young lady. But my thing is the reality is somebody like making it seem or insinuating that response is going to be key too. Where it's like, what were you doing or where were y'all at? It's like
with your victim blaming.
I was at home.
Your victim blaming.
That's and that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you have to be mindful. So it's great that, you know, you have a significant other or a spouse that, because some people, even in a relationship, it doesn't have to be the husband and wife, it's in a relationship, sometimes it'll be kind of a silly thing. People are like, well, where you at? Well, where you?
Yeah, what were you doing?
Trust.
How did you do it?
There's no way. You know what I'm saying?
And when you're going through that, I'm gonna tell you that's the worst thing you could possibly say.
Yeah,
the absolute worst thing.
For me, I had never really spoke about it, and I was like in my 20s, and then I was just like old enough to kind of say something. And then, still felt like it was still so close, the experience. Yeah. And it was just like, well, what were you doing? And I was just like, what does that question mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just, but I think my biggest challenge that I realized it was still affecting me as an adult was when I could not go back, as they say, go into this hospital room and I guess pray with him or hope, that he would heal, because I feel like, whatever God's decision is for the outcome of his life, it is what it is. I wasn't going to alter that, change it, but my presence definitely wasn't going to help, because if I said anything I had guarded and held in my heart, he probably would have been gone. But instead I made a word come out. But at the same time, I just prayed to the Lord. I said, this is going to be my closure. And it was, a family member. So for me, it was very difficult to be around my family. We were like, we're still acting like this never happened.
Absolutely.
Like this never was vocalized. So, that's important to be in that safe space.
Absolutely.
And so many times it's someone close to us, right? It's someone close to you, right? And then you don't want to speak up because it's going to cause all this chaos with everything, and I had experienced a similar thing too around my teenage years where my car broke down. I had to get it towed. It was a family friend. Oh, you could tow it here. I'll pay the $150, right? So I ended up towing it to his place, and I know he had liked me. So he was an older family friend. So I told it to his place, and all of a sudden I found myself in his bedroom, not against my own will, in his bedroom. And then he sexually assaulted me and went and spread the news that he had sex with me. Next thing you know, my mom, I'm coming home from somewhere, and she starts going off on me. I guess he told his sister-in-law, or somehow his sister-in-law was really close to my mom. And my mom, at the time I walked in the house, she started going berserk, and she was already like a traumatized person, like with a lot of anger issues. So she just went berserk, and I'm going to get a knife, like cut your face so no guys can see you and look at you and all this stuff. And that, I believe, was sort of the trigger that led me to becoming a destructive teenager, right? And led me down this dark path where I did end up running away, because all of a sudden this rumor started spreading, and then different rumors, right, started spreading, and then all of a sudden I was the, black sheep. I was the slut. I was the whore. I got in all sorts of trouble, ran away. My mom, if I had a knife, I'll cut you. I can hear her in the middle of the night arguing with my father, telling him like, well, if I knew that she was going to be like this, I would have killed her in the stomach. I would have aborted her a long time ago. Like, that's the stuff that stabs you in the heart, right? When you hear that, especially as a teenager, you're still finding yourself, you're in that balance between like preteen and maturity, right? And you're like, wow, I'm a nobody. Like, my mom doesn't want me, right? So I start packing my stuff, and that's when I ran away. And, I ended up in the arms of Mama Sonia. I ended up being taken in by Mama Sonia. A whole different culture shock, right? Being in a Asian household, right? With all eating sticky rice and beef jerky. Now I'm in an all-black household, all-black school, and Mama Sonia took me in. She raised me, and she had, what's this? I first had soul food for the first time. Like, Mama Sonia, like, I'm like, who eat this? Where's my sticky rice? And she's just like, pinto beans. Yeah, baby, you just spread some cornbread over that. That was so good. I was addicted to it. Yes. What are you doing with the leaves, right? She's doing the leaves and the chitlins. I want that smell. Like, it's fine, like, okay, so but it was awesome. Like, I love the food and I loved everything. But the one thing that I really commend her for is when I did come into her loving arms, was showing me love in spite of my faults, in spite of my, my, what you call it, the things that I went through. She showed me how to love myself in spite of all of my scars and all of that, like have confidence. And that, I believe, helped shapes me into who I am. And I think, to your point, you need somebody that's going to be in your corner, that's going to help rebuild you up, because when you're torn down out of your control and you end up in this dark path, this dark hole, you actually need somebody to tell you, hey, you could do this. Hey, believe in yourself. Hey, have the confidence. Hey, you're beautiful. Hey, do this way, and you are worthy. You need somebody to guide you to that, right? And so, but I do believe that things happen for a reason, right? And so we just don't know what those reasons are until we look back, like, oh, that's why. And oh, this shaped me into who I am. And oh, now I need to talk about it. And oh, now I'm going to empower that next person, or that little Laura that could have been going through all of that, the little Carlatas. What could we have done differently, right? Not to trust so easily. Could I have done something differently to not put myself in that predicament, right? And it's just kind of a reflection, and reflect on it so you can share that and be able to help other people to not be in that situation that you might have overcome and came through, right? So, all right.
And I agree. We all have the same. I said we all have commonalities with this matter. Laura and Kathy, you already know my story, Laurence.
That's why we told
I have a similar story to you as well. Yes. Without getting into details, because I know time is short. I'm thankful and grateful that my parents protected us despite going through those issues, because I was sexually abused as well. My mom and dad advocated for me, but it was the opposite that turned out for me and my siblings. They ended up taking us away from our parents because they have to do an investigation. I was young when that happened. Turn around a few years later, went through another situation with someone in my family. I shared it with my mom, and my mom immediately contacted the person. So I will say that my mom has always been there in those times. However, going forward, I had an incident and I was homeless, and my mom ran to the hospital. So I will say that I did have that support when it came to those areas. But then it was like the lack of support from the family, because now it's black sheep. They're like, oh, you're supposed to keep this in the family. This is not supposed to leave the family. Exactly. And I was young, telling people what happened to me, all the way to the age of 18. And because of that, some people didn't agree, and some people don't even know. So thank you for sharing that. And just use your voice, because even thinking about it and talking about it, it can be triggering. And it also can take you down that memory lane. But then you look at yourself now and like, oh, I overcame that. I'm stronger, I'm better. However, it doesn't change the fact that it occurred and it happened to you. So it's like you're balancing, but you're still showing up as your best version, and you're not mistreating anyone, because every time I met you, you've always been respectful. And thank you, because some people wear their emotions, their experience, their abuse on their sleeve.
Yeah,
that's true.
And survivors end up hurting other survivors. So thank you.
Survivors turn into also like replicate. You had mentioned that before, like replicating what they went through onto other people too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to say too, because I'm quite sure there's going to be a lot of parents watching this and thinking about their own children. One of the things that you should teach your children, this is so important, the person that's going to either abuse or try to abuse your child isn't going to be the boogeyman. Most of the time, they're your siblings, they're your spouse, they're your cousin. It could be a friend. So, growing up, you're taught to watch out for strangers, watch out for the boogeyman, all this. But the problem is 9 times out of 10,
strangers aren't outside.
it's not the strangers that are doing this. So be mindful and also trust your gut. If you look and there's just something going on, don't ignore it.
Right.
You'd be surprised what you learn if you just ask some questions. And again, God gave you the ability to see something. And if your gut is telling you something, don't ignore it, especially when it comes to your children and people that you care about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Yes. Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to everything that's coming up with you. Anything we can do to help support you. And we're looking forward to the book launch.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to say in closing, ladies?
Thank you for your valor. I guess I come from women who have survived, whether it's domestic violence or other things that women survive, as they say, different kind of trauma. But to hear a man speak or to hear survivorship from a man, it kind of makes you feel unhuman when you deal with certain things. But when you hear a man say, it's like, oh, wow, we're all human and things can happen and people can mishandle individuals. It's not a gender-driven thing. So
exactly.
Appreciate you sharing that story with us.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I know we started a little bit later and we're ending a little bit later, but it's really good stuff. So we will catch you later, same time, same place. We will be taking next week because of the holiday week. We will be taking a break next week. So we can enjoy traveling and stuff with our families. And so you have
get some of that soul food.
Get some of that soul Asian food. Soul Asian food.
Soul Afro-Latina food.
Afro-Latina.
Okay.
All right.
Hey.
All right.